So, good evening, everyone. I hope everyone is doing good. So, we will start our session today. So, let me share my screen. I hope my screen is visible. Let me know in the chat box. Yeah, thank you, thank you. Okay, so today's concept is we will start with recursion. Okay, so the concept is recursion. What is recursion? Okay, what is recursion? Why we use this recursion? So the recursion is nothing but we can say a function which calls itself is called as recursive function, or we can say recursion. Okay, the function which calls itself is called recursive function, is called recursive function. Okay, so let me explain with diagrammatic. So think that there is a function. Okay, so think that there is a function. So I am giving some name like function 1. Okay, so whenever this function is getting executed, in between, if you see the same function calling statement, okay, the function calling statement which is related to same function, okay, then what it will go through, it will call the same function one more time. Okay, so as this calling statement is related to the same function, then what will happen, the function call will happen for same function. Okay, so this what happens. Okay, the function which calls itself for multiple times in the repetitive mode, that function we call it as recursive function. Okay, that is called as recursion. Okay, and not only this, there is one more way also. So okay, so and there is one more definition too for the recursive function, that is if the called function, okay, if the function called function calls back its calling function or caller function, then also we can say, and also we say it as recursive function call. Recursive function call. Okay, so let me explain this too. So think that there are two functions. Okay, this is the function 1 and this is the function 2. Okay, so let me write the names. Function 1, this is function 2. Okay, so what I am doing is I am calling this function 2 from the function 1. Then this function 1 become caller function and this function 2 will become called function. Yesterday we have discussed about this, right? So let me call function 2 from function 1. Okay, this is the calling statement. So then what it will do? It will call this function from the function 1, right? So then this will become caller function, which is calling the function, right? This will become caller function and this will become called function. This will become called function. If the called function will call back its caller function, then we can say it as recursive function call. Okay, so think that in between I found one function calling statement which is related to function 1. We know function 1 is caller and function 2 is called function, right? So here what is happening? The called function is again calling its caller, right? So then what it will do? It will call this caller function. So like this, the repetitive, in the repetitive mode, the caller function will called function and the function 2 which is called function will again call its caller. So like this repetitively the function call will happen. Okay, so function 1 will call function 2 and function 2 again it will call function 1. So in this way repetitively the function call will happen. This is called as recursive function call. Okay, this is also called as recursive function call. If the called function calls its caller back, then we can say that that function call is recursive function call. Okay, so this is also one of the way how we can perform recursion. Okay, so and what is the purpose of recursion? Okay, so a recursive function call is very effective. Okay, what is the purpose means why we use mostly the recursive concept means because it is very effective. Okay, so a recursive function call is very effective, and it is faster when compared to normal functions or normal method. Okay, compared to normal functions and normal methods, the recursive function call is faster. Okay, and the one more reason is it consumes less memory. It consumes less memory. Okay, this is the main reason why we mostly go for recursion because it consumes less memory. Okay, so nowadays all the algorithms, okay, so whatever all the algorithms we can find, all the algorithms are implemented by using recursive calls only. Okay, so nowadays all the algorithms are implemented by using recursive call only. Okay, so this is about the recursion, and now we will see some simple problems based on the recursion. Okay, so first we try to see how to print 1 to 10 numbers in recursive manner. Okay, by using recursion how we can implement this program printing from 1 to 10. Okay, so we know if we want to print 1 to 10 we normally go for while loop, right? So using while loop we can print 1 to 10 numbers, right? So and this can be done with recursive also. So what I need to print? I need to print 1 to 10 numbers, okay, in recursive mode. So how I can do? So let me give I'm already having a method, just I'm changing the name of the method. So let me give something like generate numbers. Okay, generate numbers. Okay, this is my method name. So here what I need to do, I need to print 1 to 10 numbers. Okay, so here I am having one parameter which is int n. So it will be accepting the size of the number, means from 1 to 10 this is the maximum number, right? So it will accept the maximum number. Okay, so here I will be giving n up to what range I need to print the numbers. Okay, so here in the inside the method what I will do, I will write the logic to print 1 to 10 numbers recursively. So what is that logic? Okay, so the logic is if my n, which is the range I am giving, okay, if my range is less than 10, if it is less than 10, then what I should do, I should call the same function recursively. Okay, I should call the same function. What is the function name? Generate numbers. Okay, and I need to pass the value also, right? So what is the value I will be passing? Okay, so let me start with here. Let me first print 1. Let me print n. Okay, here I will be printing n, and here I will be incrementing the n value. Anything is fine, like, okay, I'm incrementing the n value. Okay, so if my starting value, whichever the value I have given, if it is less than 10, then it need to call the same function again. Okay, so let me show with diagrammatic. So what I want to do, I want to print 1 to 10 numbers, right? So first what I will do means, think that there is a function I have created to think that there is a function I have created which is, the name is generate number, right? G number. Okay, so this function I wrote to print the 1 to 10 in recursive manner. Okay, so first as a parameter what I will do means, I will call, I will start with 1. Okay, so what I will do, I will just call this method, the function which I have created, I will call by passing the starting number which is 1, because I need to print from 1 to 10, right? So I will pass the starting value which is 1. Okay, so then this particular method will call this particular function, this particular calling statement will call this particular method, right? So once it is called, what it will do, it will just, what is the code I have written here, I just print, I want to print the number first, and later I need to check the if condition, right? Let me copy these statements too. So let me go here, so let me paste. So this is the thing which I wrote inside the function. What I will do, so I will call the, this is the calling statement, I am calling the function, inside the function I am having all these statements. So first what it will do, it will print the n. So what is the n value here? What is the n value? Output. Here I am writing output. What is the n value? 1. Okay. Later it will check the condition whether n, what is the n value? 1. Is 1 less than 10? Yes, right? So it will go inside the if block and it will call the same method once again. Okay, but here the n value will be incremented. Okay, now the n value will become 2 and call the same function with different parameter. Okay, so what it is calling? So it will call, so let me show. So this particular function, internally it will call the same function with a different parameter, which is now the incremented value is 2. Okay, now again it will go to the same function again. Now again it will print the n. Okay, again it will print the n. So what is the n value now? The n value is 2. Right? N value is 2. 2 will be printed. Later it will check the condition. Whether 2 less than 10? Yes. Right? So it will again go to the if block and it will execute this function call. It will again call the same function but with different argument. The incremented argument. It will take the incremented argument. Okay. So again it will call the same function with incremented value. Okay, so for now I just want to print up to 5. So let me give here 5. Okay, so now again this is the another function call. So it will go again and it will print n value. What is the n value here? 3. Right? It will print 3. After printing 3, again it will check the condition. Condition will get satisfied. Again internally it will call the same function again. Okay. Now again it will call the same function. It will try to print n value. What is the n value now? 4. Right? N value is 4. Now what will do? It will check the condition. Whether 4 less than 5? Yes. It will again call the same function. Okay. So, but incremented value. Now the value will become 5. Okay. So now it will again call the same function with 5. So it will go here. It will print the 5. It will print the 5 and later it will check the condition. Whether 5 less than 5? No. Right? So it won't enter this if condition. So that is the reason the recursive call will be ended, because the condition is false and it won't enter and it will never execute this calling statement. Okay, and after this if block no other statements are there in the method, right? So the method will be terminated. Okay, so this is how the recursive function call will work. So one function, the same function will call it the same function with a different parameter. Okay, with the different argument. The arguments may differ but the function calling is same. Okay, the same function call itself with different values is called as recursive function call. Okay, this is how it works. So if I go here, so this I have provided one condition here, right? So this is called as base condition. This is called as base condition. If you observe here, whenever n is less than 10, until that it is calling recursively the same function. It is calling itself, right? So whenever the condition is false, then it is not calling itself. It is ending that call, right? So that is the reason this is the base condition where the recursive call will stop. Okay, so if we want to terminate the recursive call, we need one condition which is called as base condition. Without providing base condition, we cannot terminate the recursive function call. Okay, so the thing is, while we are performing recursive function call, the base condition is necessary. Okay, so the base condition is used to terminate the recursive function call. To terminate the recursive function call. Okay, so without this base condition, if I am not providing base condition for the recursive call, then it will execute for infinite number of times. Okay, it will execute for infinite number of times. If we provide base condition, at some particular condition it will get fail and the termination of recursive function call will happen. Okay, so the base condition, writing base condition in recursive call is main thing. Okay, we need to know how to write the base condition based on our program. Okay, so for now just let me run this program. We will see whether, so let me call here, I'm not calling, so let me call what is the, so my function name is generate numbers, and what is the initial value? 1. I'm starting from 1, and here I am providing condition to nil, means to end after reaching 10. Okay, so let me save and let me run. If you observe here, I'm getting all the output from 1 to 10. Okay, so let me delete this, let me have only print. See, if you observe, I'm getting 1 to 10 numbers. Okay, so this is how we can perform recursive function call. So the main thing what we need to know in recursion is how to write the base condition. Okay, so how to, if we know how to write the base condition, then the recursion will be easy. Okay, so now we will see one more problem. So the thing is, if I have some numbers, okay, if I take any number, I need to find the count of digits. Okay, we performed this, right? Before only we have performed this, how to count the number of digits in a number, right? So now we try to perform the same program with recursion. Okay, so let me change everything. So let me change the method name to, so now let me give like count digits. Okay, so I am providing number as a parameter. Okay, I am providing number as a parameter. Let me call that method here. So what is the method name? Count digits. Okay, I am providing some the same input. Okay, so this is the function calling. Yeah, everything was done. Now the pending part is how to write the logic. Okay, so I need to count the digits, right? We know how to count the digits. So if I divide this number by 10, what will happen? The last digit will be removed, right? So for each and every time, so first if I divide this total number with 10, then what is the number I will get? I will get 1 2 3 4, right? Again if I divide this number, okay, what I will get? 1 2 3. If I again divide this number with 10, then what I will get? 1 2. If I divide the same the number which is occurred, the number if, with 10, then what I will get? 1. If I divide this number with 10, then what is the last value I will get? 0, right? We know this. Okay, so the same thing we will do. Okay, we will divide this particular number with 10 and we will increment our count. Okay, so we can perform this in two ways. The thing is, I can have my count variable as a global or a member variable. We know, right? We are having two types of variables in Java. One is member variable and another one is local variable. So the variable which is declared inside the method is known as local variable, right? So the variable which is declared outside the method but inside the class is known as member variable. And I said the member variables are two types, which is static and non-static. If the member variables are static, then we can access them with the help of class name or directly within the class. Okay, so let me have for now member variable. So I am creating a static member variable because I need to access without creating the object. Okay, till now I don't know how to create object, so I need to call it with the help of class name or directly. So I am creating that variable as a static variable. So let me have int as a data type and c count as a variable name. Okay, so we know for member variables there will be default initialization, right? So for this count, defaultly the compiler will initialize 0. Okay, so for now I have initialized my count and I have declared my count. Everything was done. Now the thing is, so I will be getting my number here. What I need to do? What I need to do? First I need to check whether this number is equals to 0 or not. If it is 0, if it is 0, then it is nothing but there is no digits, right? 0 is the end digit, so means there is no digit. So first I need to check if number whichever I got has a value from the parameter, if it is not is equals to 0, if it is not is equals to 0, then what I will do, I will just increment my count. I will just increment my count, and later what I will do, I will just divide this particular number with 10. Okay, I will just divide that particular number with 10 and I will pass the divided by 10 value. Okay, so if I divide this value by 10, what is the value I will get? This is the value I will get, right? I will pass this number again for the next iteration. Okay, so what I will do, I will call the same function, but now the value will be changed, right? So what is the value? I will divide this particular number with 10 so that last digit will be deleted. Okay, and the remaining digits will pass as a parameter. Okay, the remaining digits I am passing as a parameter. Okay, so again the passed parameter will go here. Again it will check here for the condition. If a number is not is equals to 0, then what I will do, it will do incrementation of count. Later it will divide the number by 10 and it will send this particular number as a parameter. Okay, so again it will go here, it will check the condition. Okay, it will increment the count and it will be dividing by 10. Now the number will be 12. Okay, until I get 0. Okay, once the number becomes 0, okay, now you think that here the number value is 0. Here if you go here, this condition will become false, because 0 not is equals to 0, whether it is true, no, the condition will become false, so it never enter the if condition. Okay, and it will exit the if block and it will come here. There is no other statements to execute, so it will exit the method. Okay, this is how it will happen. So here I have counted, right? I have not printed that count, so let me print. So I'm printing the count. Okay, so let me run this. If you observe, I got 5 as output. The count of digits is 5. So if you see here, my count of digits, whichever argument I passed, my count of digit is also 5. Okay, so if I try to provide some more, so my digit count is 8 and I am having in my argument 8 digits. Okay, I hope it is clear how to perform recursive function call. If we know how to write the base condition, it is more than enough to solve the problems in recursive format. Okay, the troubling thing is how we need to know how to write the base condition. Okay, so if we know how to write the base condition, then every problem we can solve with recursion only. Because if we solve every problem with recursion, it consumes less memory and it will work faster too than compared to normal methods. Okay, so this is the thing, and we try to solve one more problem too, uh, as these two are small problems. So we try to print the Fibonacci series. Okay, so have you guys know what is Fibonacci series? And I said I will show one more thing also, right? So wait a second. Let me solve the same problem. If number not is equals to 0, then what I so count plus plus, and here I'm just calling the okay. So this is one of the way. Here I have declared this count as member variable, right? So instead of making this count as member variable, I can pass as a parameter. This is also work. Okay, let me delete this for now. And what I am doing is I am just creating a variable here like int count is equals to 0. This is the local variable, and this variable I am passing it as a argument. I'm passing it as a argument. Okay, so here I'm giving the argument to here parameter to like int count. You can give different number also. Let me give c. Okay, so here I need to give c plus plus different, and here I need to pass the same count value. Okay, so this will be always reinitialized. Okay, so let me see, let me run. So I'm not getting, let me check. Yeah, so it is not working here because it is a local variable. Okay, so yeah, so it is a local variable, so it is the reason it is not working, because each time the local variable is declared and initialized, so that is the reason it is not giving this. We cannot do with the help of local variable. If we want to do this, we need to do with the help of member variable. Okay, so we need to make either static, then only it is possible. Okay, so this is the thing, and now we will move for how to print the Fibonacci series. Okay, so let me delete everything. So I don't know how many of you know the Fibonacci series, but let me explain. So the Fibonacci series is nothing but it will look like this. Like 1, let me write inside the method, 0, 1, 1. Okay. So 2, 3, 5. Okay. If you observe this, so if you observe from third value, okay, so if you observe from third value, so it is the sum of the previous two values, right? 0 plus 1, 1. If you go to this 2, this is the 2, so this is the sum of two other previous values. Okay, this value is the sum of two other previous values. Okay, so so each and every number in Fibonacci series is a sum of previous two values. Okay, this is called as Fibonacci series. Okay, normally how we will generate this Fibonacci series? First we will see that by using normal method. Okay, let me give as Fibonacci series. I want to I want to print the Fibonacci series up to some 10 numbers, 10 Fibonacci series. Okay, so for that, how I can print this Fibonacci series means, first I will take a variable with any, I will take a variable with any name and I will initialize that with 0. Okay, because the Fibonacci series starts from 0. Okay, and I, here this one, which is the third value, okay, is the sum of two previous values. So in order to do the sum, I need to have first two series. Okay, that is the reason what I am doing, I am just declaring that. So with the help of two variables n1 and n2, I am initializing with 1. Okay, and I have declared and initialized two variables with two first numbers. Okay, now it is fine. Now what I will do, I will just start my while loop. Okay, so up to what, up to which range I need to print the Fibonacci series? Up to 10 numbers. My range is 10 numbers. To increment, to update the range, so let me give from I is equals to some 0. Okay, I am starting my range from 0 and my range is up to 10. So I should be less than 10. Okay, I should be less than 10 and inside it I am incrementing my I value. Okay, and the thing is, what I will do, I will just try to print these two numbers outside of this while only. Okay, so outside of this while only I will just try to print, like I'm having two println statements, like I will be printing n1 first and later I will be having some space and later I'm printing n2. Okay, so I'm printing the first two numbers of this series externally without while loop. Okay, in while loop what I will do means, now this value is printed, this value is printed. If I do sum of these two numbers, then I will get the third number, right? So in order to get this number, I need to do sum of these previous two numbers, right? So what I will do, I will take one more variable like int sum is equals to, and I will declare with 0. Okay, and inside while loop I will just do sum is equals to n1 plus n2. I'm adding n1 and n2. So for now this is the n1 and this is n2. So I'm adding both and I'm storing in some variable. Okay, after that what I will do, I will just print this sum. If I print the sum, the third value also will be printed, right? The third number in the series also will be printed. after printing, okay, so the next number what I need to print, I need to print this, but the previous number should become this numbers, right? So for that reason what I will do, I will reinitialize this n2 and n1. Okay, so first this is n1 and this is n2. Okay, and I'm printing the third number with the help of this previous two numbers. Now, in order to print the fourth number, I need the sum of these two. So, I will reinitialize the n1 and n2. So, n1 previously it is 0. Now, I will reinitialize with 1. Okay, and again previously the n2 is initialized with 1. Now I reinitialize with this one, which is sum. Okay, so what I will do, n1 is equals to n1 will become n2 and n2 will become sum. Okay, so this is what I'm doing. So this is n1, this is n2 and this is the sum. Okay, in order I need to get this, so what I am doing, I am reinitializing n1 with n2 and n2 with sum. So I will be having previous two values. If I am having previous two values, I can do sum and I can print the next number in the series, right? So that is how I will be doing. So let me have here print instead of println. Okay, so now it will print the Fibonacci series up to some 10 range, 10 numbers. Okay, so let me call this method. So I am calling this method. So what I will do, I will just run this. So here I have given println. So let me remove, let me run one more time. If you observe, I got my first 10 series, first 10 numbers in the series. Okay, so this is what. Okay, this is how we can print the Fibonacci series. Okay, and now the same thing we need to do. We need to print the Fibonacci series by using recursion. Okay, by using recursion. So how to do? Okay, we will see now Fibonacci series using recursion. So the thing is, and the same thing I need to print some so from 10 numbers, some 10 numbers in the Fibonacci series. For that what I will do, I will just take one parameter int number. Okay, so here I will be giving the last range which is 10. No need of this. Okay, let it be. So here I will be giving the parameter. Okay, so I need to print from 10, up to 10 series in the Fibonacci series. Like for I need to print first 0th Fibonacci series and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like this up to 10. Right? So for that, first what I will do, I will just write the logic to print the Fibonacci series. Okay, if the number, okay, if the number is less than or equals to 0, okay, then, or I should give something like less than or is equals to 1. Okay, why I will say, I will explain it. So if then my number is less than or is equals to, then I should return n or number. Okay, let me have, as I am returning the integer value, I should have my return type as int. Okay, and if not, what I will do, I will just return the fib of n minus 1, we know that it is a sum of two previous numbers, right? Fibonacci series. So n minus 2. Okay, so this is how it works. Okay, so what it will do means, let me explain it with diagrammatically. So okay, so this is the function which I am having, right? So if you observe here, a thing that I am giving some number which is a parameter. I have given parameter right here. So the parameter I am giving some 10. Okay, I am giving the number has some 10. So what I will do, I will just giving this number is equals to 10. Okay, so for now no need to take large value. So let me take 5. Okay, so this means I need to print the Fibonacci series of fifth number. Okay, so inside the Fibonacci series, the fifth number will be there, right? So that fifth value I need to print. So what it will happen? First, it will enter the function, and here it will check the whether number is less than or is equals to 1. So here the number is 5. Here the number is 5, right? So whether 5 is less than or is equals to 1, whether 5 is less than or is equals to 1, no, right? So that is the reason the if block will never get executed. Again it will go to the next statement, which is return fib of n minus 1 and plus fib of n minus 2. It will go to this statement. Okay, so fib of n minus 1 means nothing but number minus 1. I just wrote it wrongly. So here the number minus 1. Okay, number minus 1. So let me explain in the simple way. First, what I am doing, I am calling the Fibonacci series of 5. Means I need to get the output as a fifth value in the Fibonacci series. Okay, so whenever I am calling this function call, okay, whenever I am calling this with the parameter 5, internally what it will do means, it will call the Fibonacci series of previous two, which is number minus 1 and number minus 2. What is the number here? 5. 5 minus 1 will become 4 and 5 minus 2 will become 3. So internally what it will do, it will call the Fibonacci series of 4, okay, plus Fibonacci series of 3. Okay, so in this statement, what is the first Fibonacci series? It is calling Fibonacci series of 4, right? So now the Fibonacci series of 4 will be called the same function only but the different parameters. Okay, 4 will be called. Now this 4, the Fibonacci series of 4, again this will call the Fibonacci series of the previous two values. Okay, so Fibonacci series of 3 it will call, and 4 minus 2, which is Fibonacci series of 2, it will call. Okay, so again, what is the first statement in it? Fibonacci series of 3, right? So here the Fibonacci series of 3 will be called. Okay, again this will call the Fibonacci series of two other previous numbers, which is Fibonacci series of 2, okay, and plus Fibonacci series of 1. Okay, and here what is the first calling? Fibonacci series of 2. Again this Fibonacci series of 2 will be called, okay, and this again internally calls two other function calls, which is Fibonacci series of Fibonacci series of 1 and plus Fibonacci series of 0. If you observe here, I wrote some condition like if number is less than or is equals to 1, then it should return number only. Okay, if you observe here, whenever it calls the Fibonacci series of 1, now the number value is 1, right? The number value is now 1. Okay, so because it is calling Fibonacci series of 1, so whether 1 is less than or is equals to 1, yes, the condition will become true. It will return the number. Number means nothing but 1, right? So it will return the number. So here this value will become 1. Okay, so this value will become 1. And coming to the next statement, okay, which is the calling statement like Fibonacci series of 0. Again it will go to the function. Here the number is 0, whether 0 is less than or is equals to 1, yes, the condition will become true. Then it will go to inside the if block and it will return the number. What is the number here? 0. Okay, so this total value will become 0. Total value will become 0. Okay, so if you guys observe here, what is the return type of this particular method? Int, right? So let me copy the total thing. Okay, so if you observe here, what is the return type of this function? Integer. Okay, so here the return keyword is returning the value, we know, right? If this condition satisfies, it returns the number. Otherwise it should return this value, which is Fibonacci series of n minus 1 plus Fibonacci series of n minus 2. Okay, so whenever the Fibonacci series of 2 is called, it should return Fibonacci series of 1 plus Fibonacci series of 0, right? So this function will return this value, this sum value, to the Fibonacci series of 3. Okay, because the Fibonacci series of 3 only called this 2, right? So now this is the caller and this is the called method. Okay, so after called method is executed successfully, where it should go? It should go again back to the caller, right? Because caller only called that method, so it should go back to the caller, right? So it will go back to the caller by taking the value. Okay, so what is the sum value here? 1 plus 0 will become 1. 1 plus 0 will become 1. So the value it will take is 1. 1 is returned from Fibonacci series of 2 to Fibonacci series of 3. Okay, now if you observe, it got the Fibonacci series of 2, which is 1. Okay, but it didn't get Fibonacci series of 1. It was executed this first calling statement successfully. The value for this first calling statement is 1, and now it need to execute this, which is Fibonacci series of 1, right? So what is the Fibonacci series of 1? Whenever it is called, it will again go to the function. It will check whether the 1 is less than or is equals to 1. Yes, so it should return the number. What is the number here? 1, right? So now this Fibonacci series of 2 is 1 and this Fibonacci series of 1 is 1. 1 plus 1, what is the value? 1 plus 1, what is the value? 2, right? So it will return this 2 again back to the Fibonacci series of 4. Okay, because this Fibonacci series of 3 is called by Fibonacci series of 4, right? So again this value, the result of this Fibonacci series 3 will be back to the Fibonacci series of 4. Okay, so what is the value it is taking back? It is taking back 2. Okay, and now this is the 2 value is the result of Fibonacci series of 3, right? But Fibonacci series of 2 is not yet completed, not yet executed. Okay, whenever it calls this calling statement, again it will go to the method. Now the number is 2, whether 2 is less than or is equals to 1, no, if block will never get executed. Again it will call this, which is Fibonacci series of n minus 1 plus Fibonacci series of n minus 2. Okay, which is Fibonacci series of 1 plus Fibonacci series of 0. If you know here, I got my result previously only, which is 1 plus 0, right? So 1. Here the output for this Fibonacci series of 2 call is 1. So here 2 plus 1. Okay, 2 plus 1, totally 3. 3 will be returned to the previous caller. Okay, it will be returned to the previous caller. Okay, now the Fibonacci series of 3 Fibonacci series of 4 value is 3. Okay, but till now I have not executed this Fibonacci series of 3. Okay, so if you observe, the Fibonacci series of 3 result is 2, right? So 3 plus 2. Okay, 3 plus 2, the total value will become 5. Okay, so this will be written to the user. This 5 will be written to the user from where we are calling. We are calling in the main method, right? To that main method, it will return the 5. Okay, so this is how it will get executed. This is the recursive function call, how it works. Okay, so let me go to my Eclipse and let me run this. Okay, so here what I am just doing, I am giving 5 because previously we took 5, right? So I am giving 5. So let me change here to number. Okay, I am not printing it. So let me print, because it is returning something, either I need to store or directly print. If you observe here, I am getting 5 as my output. Okay, so the same process. Okay, it will call itself, but the parameter value will be changed every time. Okay, so as I shown, I got my output as 5. Okay, so this is how. But if we observe here, I am getting the nth Fibonacci series, right? So I am not printing total Fibonacci series. I am getting nth Fibonacci series. Here I got my 5th number in the Fibonacci series, but I want the total Fibonacci series to print. How to do that? Just use for loop. Just use for loop. What I will do, I will just copy this statement. Okay, so I need to have range like 0 to 10. I need to print Fibonacci series from 0 to 10. Okay, so what I will do, I will just start my for loop. Okay, with I. Okay, which is equals to 0. I will start with 0 and I should be less than 10, or you can give less than or is equals to 10, anything is fine. Okay, and later I will be incrementing. So what I will do, I will inside this, I will just write my statement. Instead of this, I will just try to pass I value. So once it will call the Fibonacci series of 0. Okay, I will be printing the Fibonacci series of 0, which is 1 0 will be printed. Okay, and later it will call the Fibonacci series of 1, which it will print the 1. Okay, and later I will become 2, it will print the 2 value in the Fibonacci series, second index of the Fibonacci series, and later it will become 3, it will print the 2. Like this it will print the total Fibonacci series. So instead of this println statement, let me have print. Yeah, so now let me execute. If you observe here, I am getting all my 10 values. Okay, so this is how we can print the Fibonacci series using recursion. If we want nth Fibonacci series, just we will go for only this logic. Okay, but if we want to print the series of Fibonacci series, then we should use for loop. Okay, because it will return the nth Fibonacci series each time. So that is the reason I am just using for loop. I am traversing through each and every number and I am getting the Fibonacci series of that number. Okay, so I hope it is clear. Whether the recursion is clear. So the main thing here is we need to know how to write the base condition. That's it. Is it clear? The recursion concept?